Hey there, Libra fam, how you be? Let's see what kind of vibe you have to look forward to for May of 2025. Maybe. Okie dokie. So I've already pre-shuffled. Let's go ahead and cut the decks, starting with the archetypes. Cutting into 3, putting the middle to the top, and let's see. We have the Mystic. Now for me, the Mystic is pointing a bit left, so that speaks of the past to me. And the Sword, but this one is leaning more to the right, so that speaks of moving forward to the future. And on the bottom, we have the Seed in complete reverse. Okay. Because with the Seed, that speaks of new beginnings. It's kind of like, you know, not only when it comes to a seed is the whole tree and whatnot present already, but it's kind of that vibe of like you never needed those wings to fly. You know what I mean? There is a cat hair. That was driving me crazy the whole time I was doing Gemini. Anyway, right? All too often, when we look at this Sword card, like, you know, it's kind of split, right? And but to me, I tend to consider it split into 4 pieces, kind of like a pizza, right? And most of the time, when you think of someone using a sword, it's in defense. It's like there's a mission going on, right? And that sword is sharp and it's not messing around, right? So it feels like right now, like cutting ties. And this may be someone who is in denial or trying to move on from a certain way that they were raised or certain beliefs that they were following for a while. That may be the way that they were raised by their family, right? See about the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck. We have red, forgive, and tree, let them go. And on the bottom, we have villain. You can always rewrite the story. So, okay. There we go, right? The story is already doing its thing. When it comes to things like forgiveness, some, you know, believe that we need to forgive in order to move on, right? Forgive and let go, right? And others believe that it's one thing to forgive others and also to forgive yourself, right? And that maybe it's more important to forgive yourself for things done when you didn't know any better, for things done in the heat of the moment, when you just weren't thinking clearly, maybe you hadn't had much sleep, whatever, right? But then there's forgiving people who have done really horrible things to you, right? And some believe that there's a difference between accepting what has happened and forgiving. That they can be 2 completely different things. And it's better to accept that it happened, accept your past, accept your present, and move on from it, right? Leave the pain, the experience in those moments, which are officially in the past. And someone hurt you. Someone may have taken your voice or made you feel that someone silenced you, right? Because I tend to think of this conch shell as like a haunting melody. So my question is, are you the person with the rock saying, no, that's this story that y'all have been trying to share is false, and I'm done suffering the consequences of your bad behavior? Or is the person with the rock your villain, the person who silenced you, right? I feel like it's almost like the vibe of a family that, you know, like, what is this, a V.C. Andrews novel where like the family is pulling favoritism or something, and someone has been gotta think of words like content warning, safe type words, you know, for YouTube and stuff. Victimized, sorry, whatever. I'm here for the truth, and you know, and like it's making me think of like CBT type of therapy for autistic people, that where it just winds up being very harmful in reality, and needing to get away from that. And the sword being the one that's pointing to the future tells me that you have cut ties, or you're working on cutting ties. You're working on getting beyond them. But there's that haunting melody. There's that. So for me personally, when I think of like hanging out in the bath, like that thing reminds me of like depression, not wanting to get out of bed. When you finally get into the bathtub to get clean and stuff after living in like subhuman mode, is what my friends and I like to call it, when it's just a bad week. You know what I mean? Maybe you were sick and like actually had a flu bug or something, or just working through stuff, right? And not wanting, you know, because then it's like, it's so peaceful and cleansing, right? And this is someone who's really, you have things that you're working through that are still very present in your mind, and that are going to probably be around for a little while. But if you're not already out of that situation, you're right there on the precipice. You're doing what you need to do to get free, and you're being encouraged, right? You got to take care of yourself. And if there are those, or a situation or people in your life that are like toxic leeches, then do what you need to do to be safe, okay? This is very deep, very heavy, and I hope that whoever this is resonating for has been able to get beyond that, and you're merely in the haunting melody portion of it all, right? You're merely trying to figure out what this new chapter can be and look like, and remember the sound of your own voice and your own opinions, because right now you're still very clouded by them, right? By the indoctrination, by the brainwashing type of crap that you've been dealing with, right? Let's see if we can get some clarification with the tarot. Normally I'm all silly and stuff during that, but like, whoa. This is a very deep situation. Okay. So, okay then. So yeah, we do have someone who is moving on. Wow. Wow, fam. Aw, yay, if you stuck around, I hope you stuck around, because this is pretty darn incredible. I normally wait to talk about what's on the bottom of the deck when it comes to the tarot, but I want you to know right off the bat, that's the Wheel of Fortune. Cards like the Wheel of Fortune card will show up after very difficult times, after a time of darkness, because it's reminding you that this too shall pass, right? that life is not linear. Humanity and life here on this earth is not as linear as we try to force it to be. You know what I mean? So we're starting off with chapter 1 of this story being like the others of the prologue, right? Being the Seven of Swords. Now, I like to think of this card as like making off like a bandit, right? It speaks of betrayal. This, technically, it could speak of someone doing some shadiness, like whoever the reading may be for. Maybe there's something that you did that was shady. What I like to think of it when it shows up for me is, because the swords are the mind, right? So I like to think of it as, after having dealt with a bunch of bullshit, we take away the wisdom from it, right? Because they're leaving 2 behind, right? Like, you can keep that crap to yourself. I don't need it where I'm going. And we move on, right? They like to call that the Thief of the Tarot, that card. I like to think of it as making off like a bandit, because they're not hiding. This is broad daylight. They're not hiding what they're doing. They're not working in secrecy or anything like that. They're moving on in broad daylight. And there may be, I feel like it's perspective, right? There may be people who feel betrayed by you being able to move on like that. It may be whiplash a bit for them, because maybe it was like you just had enough and you're like, you know what? I don't even care. I'll sleep on park benches. I don't give a shit. I'm out, right? And maybe they're upset because they're used to you being their favorite doormat. Underneath it is the 8 of Pentacles, though, which is a card of mastery and building skills. So that makes me wonder, like, how long have you been planning this, right? How long have you been working on this? Maybe you've switched jobs and you're moving somewhere that's more, you know, like you have this new skill set. I feel like there's been a lot of buildup to this, right? We have the King of Cups, who not only do we have that emotional maturity going on, this is someone who's able to go with the flow of life now and able to experience their emotions and process through them without getting lost in the sauce, right? And underneath that, we have the 6, right? The 6 of Swords. So we're moving on from choppy, difficult waters to navigate to calm, right? So I guess my question is, who's in the boat with you? Do those figures actually stand for people in your life, or are they parts of yourself, your inner child, that side of you that wants to nurture, that wants to help others, right? And be compassionate and let people see that side of you, and who, you know, what parts of yourself that you need to protect and care for, right? And then up here next to the King of Cups, we have the Empress. And the Empress is all about love, right? She's got Venus right there with her, and she's surrounded by nature. Venus is that I attract rather than chase kind of energy, because she's very secure. Look at how cozy she is. Are you kidding me right now? She is cozy. Got her blankies, got her pillows, right? If you want to talk about things like pregnancy and such with the Empress, it can also include ideas and manifestations, that form of creation, right? Either way, there's a lot of love and comfort, and she's not forcing anything. She doesn't have to make anyone do anything. She barely has to lift a finger and ask anything. She just gets to luxuriate as it all comes to her. So maybe that's something that you've struggled with, the ability to sit back and trust that things are working out as they should. Underneath the Empress is the Magician. Now, the thing about, they both have a lot of white going on with them, right? But there's also that red. And white tends to stand for innocence and purity, right? As well as the rainbow when it comes to the tarot. And red is, passion, but it's also lifeblood. It's your heart. It's love. It's life, right? And that yellow background, which speaks of that conscious, oops, I got them backwards, that conscious awareness, right? Of knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and knowing that you are capable of pulling it off. So where, I guess, when it comes to this, where is that line between, because they're both very manifesting energies. They are both master manifestors. I know one's the magician, but they are both master manifestors. She has a bit more of that law of attraction energy to her than even the magician. The magician is this law of life energy, as within, so without, as above, so below, and all of that, right? And having that grasping of energy and balance and respect and honor about it all, where she's like, I do not chase, I attract. She's a magnet, right? So where's that line for you between knowing what you got to do and following through and handling it, and being able to release the control of how and when and why, right? We can't control what others are doing. We can't dictate how they feel, how they react to our words and such, but hopefully we are able to control ourselves, right? Which I think you're capable of, because we got the King of Cups. Either that, or it's like balance between these two, right? That balance between being able to care and help others without sacrificing yourself. And then we have the Three of Wands, which is all about growth and expansion, right? Now that we've made this change, now that we have this new beginning, there are no limitations. Do you think that there are limitations for these two? No, so please don't put them on your shoulders. The sky is the limit. And you know what's beyond the sky? The universe, my friend, right? Where are we stopping when we're unstoppable? Growth and expansion. What's next? You had some wonderful ideas. What's next, right? And you have that intuition that can help guide you. My favorite thing about the Chariot is that the Sphinx buddies are not tethered. There's no harness, there's no reins to pull in, right? This is all about the mind and the movement that can be happening even when you don't even realize, right? Behind the scenes, underneath that energy in the universe and the divine, what your ancestors are up to, right? The question is, do you accept, right? Do you accept help? Do you accept that it can be better than you ever hoped for? Do you accept being able to move on? Being able to let go? It's when things take a long time to mess with our heads, to get in there, it's going to take some time to work it out, right? And you've been in that process. So there's a pressure, there's a weight on your shoulders that you're releasing. And it's about that time. So my question with this, because when we talk about the Devil card, the first thing that's really drawing my attention to it right now is that black background. Black in tarot and this kind of sense in the background and stuff tends to mean a dark night of the soul, which we already know you've been experiencing, because we have the Wheel of Fortune coming in saying, hey, the worst really can be behind you. This speaks of those bad habits, the unhealthy ways of coping, right? The unhealthy coping mechanisms, the things that we do when we don't know any better. And the difference is that you do know better now, right? So if you want to get past all of that stuff like you have been, then you just need to keep doing what you're doing, and you need to make that slow and steady progress, even if it's slow and steady, to acknowledge that you're still making progress. In your mind, you've already been moving on. You've already been moving on, right? But it's like everything else is catching up. But there are things that you're doing, because like one of the things about this card is this couple. You can barely see because I'm trying to censor it because Papa YouTube. The chain that holds them is not taut. It's slack, right? So it's like a choice that they're there. These are things that you have chosen to do in the past that weren't for the greater good. They weren't healthy. They were very detrimental to you. So really question yourself in the things that you're doing. It feels good right now, but what's the long-term effect? You need to start really thinking of long game, because this is your life. This is your new chapter. You brought this about. Your strength, your resiliency, your devotion to yourself and life, and all of these wonderful, incredible things that you want to experience that are ready for you as you're ready for them, right? Because that's what this is all about. The odds are ever in your favor. It is time to leave it back there. Leave the darkness and the past, the pain, the whatever it is you're being. It's not so much demanded, and I'm not trying to dictate to you with these two cards received in the beginning. It's more, is it time? Is it time to forgive yourself for the things that you did before you knew any better? When you were in pain and you weren't thinking clearly because you just wanted that moment to end? Is it time to simply let them go? To reclaim your power for yourself, for your future, which you deserve to enjoy. Right? Let's see what the extra notes are for you. What the fuck do these devs want from me? I was a game tester. I did QA for the gaming industry for about a decade. And I feel like I've gone so casual when it comes to gaming myself. You know what I mean? Not so much because of the burnout, which was present, but so much as like I'm just doing other shit, you know? But one thing that I do have a tendency to do, like, it's almost like a soft lock, but it's probably also just user error, is what the fuck do these devs want from me? Like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And sometimes that's just how it can feel with life. You know, like, okay, but what? What do you want from me? What am I supposed to be doing? Sometimes we can feel as though we've been making all the wrong decisions and we keep fucking up. And you're always on the right path. You are always on the right path. As long as you are trying, as long as you are being true to yourself and caring, as long as you refuse to settle for less, you're doing it right. And nobody else gets to decide those things for you, okay? Not your family, not your friends, whatever your culture may be. I'm not trying to disrespect or anything like that, but it feels like someone has been told a lot who they are and how they feel and what they should believe, and it's just never resonated with you. And we have very particular major arcana in this reading, the Empress, the Magician, the Chariot, and the Devil. And the way I drew them was the Magician, the Chariot, and the Devil were like boom, boom, boom. 3 in a row. There's been a lot of change in your physical, material realm. And this is all because of you. This is your power enabling it. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to be like, well, I'll believe it when I see it. No, believe in yourself now. Keep believing in yourself. Never, ever, ever again for someone give up on yourself. Whoever put that negative way of thinking that made you second guess yourself, that made you lose the ability to speak up, to use your voice, to sing, they were just sharing their trauma with you. You didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve what happened to them. You don't deserve what's happening to you. And people are usually just trying their best with what they have to work with. And all of us could really be better and better at being able to recognize where someone is on their path without judging them for it, right? So whatever that means for you, like you, when they bust out the major arcana, they are serious, fam. Okay? You've worked so hard to get your mind, your head on right, and to reach this point. Let them go. They don't deserve you. Let them go. Because you've got this. You are incredibly, incredibly powerful. Okay. Yeah. Okay, what's the rest of the extra notes? Be open to receive. Was I asking that with Gemini or you? I'm pretty sure I was asking that. Are you open to these gifts? Are you open to the help that you've asked for? Are you open to real unconditional love? Because you've got to allow it too. You've got to allow yourself to open and receive, right? If you're trying to manifest and be that magnet, remember that you deserve these things that you want first and foremost, because if they're not happening, that's the only reason why. You may not just believe that you deserve it because you've got somebody else's voice stuck in your head, and it's simply taking time to override that toxic system. But you've got this. You've got this. On the bottom of the extra notes, we have read the fine print and or read between the lines. So someone may be trying to be sneaky with you. If there are any contracts going on, read the fine print. Maybe you're going through a divorce and you're getting rid of that toxicity. Read the fine print. Make sure they're not trying to pull anything over on you, okay? Aw, Libra, you've got this. We are moving in the correct direction. We're moving in the right way. And you've got this, okay? Always remember that not only do I appreciate your company, thank you so much for hanging out with me this whole reading, but always remember that I believe in you. You've got this.